as we hear her story. Can we give her a round of applause?
My name is Margaret. I was born in 1987 in Accra, Ghana. I entered the United States on August of 2002. My name is Margaret. I was born in 1987 in Ghana. I entered the United States on August of 2004 at New York City with tourist visa. My father's sister brought me to the United States when I was just a teenager. When I was about 16 years old, I came back from school one day and my father told me to go to Accra, Ghana, and had my passport made. Then my father told me that my auntie wanted to bring me to the United States to go to school. I asked him why all of a sudden my auntie had decided to take me to the United States, because my auntie had seen me many times before and never mentioned it to me. But my father just said my auntie wanted to send me to school. I felt very happy and excited. I traveled to America with a man who was bringing a group of Ghanaian children, about 35 of us, to the United States. Some of the children were as young as 10 years old. When we arrived JFK Airport, the adults who were picking the children were paying money to the man. From what I understood, the adults were paying money so that the children could be released to them. I think the children who didn't pay went to a hotel for a few months and then went back to Ghana. My auntie met me at the airport and handed an envelope over to the man. She later told me that she paid $4,000 so that I could come stay with her. As we were leaving the airport, my auntie told me to give her my passport. I wondered why she needed it. Before I could say anything, she took it from me. I didn't see my passport again for 3 years. Then my father's other sister came to pick me up and took me to live at her house. My auntie told me to take my things up to the children's room. She made me sleep sharing a bed in one of the children's rooms, or sometimes I had to sleep on the floor or on the couch downstairs if there were visitors. My auntie told me to use the bathroom downstairs in the basement where there's no heat. If my auntie saw me using the bathroom upstairs, she yelled at me. My auntie had 3 children. She never offered to send me to school like my father had promised. When I asked her about going to school, she told me that I had just arrived in the United States and should not rush to go to school. Instead, she told me to clean the entire house, including the 3 bathrooms, mop the kitchen, vacuum the whole house, wash and fold for everyone, take the trash out, take the children to school. I also had to cook for everyone, help the children with their homework, clean their rooms, and wash their laundry. Every day I had to wake up 5 a.m. and until all the work until all the work they demanded had been finished, which usually was not until midnight or later. I could often spend the weekends at my auntie's house, and she could make me work at her house too. She could limit the amount of the food I was allowed to eat. If I complained about the work or I didn't look happy, my auntie could slap me really hard on my back of my head or my back for about 5 minutes. Sometimes she threw the books or shoes or the children's toys at me. My auntie could often say, "Do you know how much I pay for you?" I pay 4,000 for you, and all you need to do is complain. I have your passport, I can send you back home. Sometimes I feel so exhausted from all this hard work. But if I complain about pain in my body, my auntie couldn't listen to me. They never paid me for any of my work. I had the keys to the house, but if I went out, I had to take the children with me, and my auntie told me a specific time I had to come back home. My auntie didn't treat me like family. They treated me like a slave. When we were with other family, my auntie could just order me around. I started to wonder if I was really related to them. I felt isolated from the family. So sometimes I could just go into another room and cry to myself. My other auntie tried to present me from making friends. Whenever I could talk on the phone, they could demand to know who I was talking to. Anytime I tried to talk to my mother in Ghana, she could say, "Do you know how you got here? Your mother doesn't know how you came here, so you can't talk to your mother. Even your father doesn't know how you got here." But when my auntie were out of the house, I could sneak a call to my mother and tell my mother about everything that was going on. But my mother just said there was nothing she could do to help me. Sometimes I called my father and told him that my auntie were forcing me to work. My father told me to pray that things would get better and that my auntie could send me to school like they had promised. Sometimes my auntie got mad at me. They could tell me to pack my stuff and leave the house. I could pack my belongings and leave my bags in the living room. Then I could start crying and ask them not to send me out because I was scared and had nowhere else to go. I really wanted to leave, but I felt like I had no option since I was so young and didn't know anyone, and I had no money and nowhere to turn for help. My auntie constantly threatened me, if you don't do what we tell you, we will send you back home. They also threatened me like that I shouldn't go to the immigration or social security office because the authorities could send me home if I did. I felt very afraid of my auntie because they were constantly yelling at me and giving me orders. I was afraid my auntie could beat me even worse if I did not do what they told me to do. Finally, I couldn't take living as a slave for my auntie anymore. One day in February 2007, I called my uncle who lives in Virginia. I told him that my auntie were trying to send me back home. He told me to take a taxi and come to Virginia. So I had to run away from my auntie's house and roaming around Manhattan for 3 days, sleeping in the parks and bus station. Then I took a bus to Washington, D.C., and my uncle came to pick me up and took me into his house in Virginia, where I was staying with my uncle. My auntie they held a family meeting at my auntie's in Baltimore. My uncle went to the meeting and secretly called me on the phone and told me to be quiet so I could listen in on the conversation. I had my auntie lying to my Baltimore auntie, saying they never hurt me, and that they love me as their own child. My auntie said she could call the police on me and report me to the immigration. But my uncle said If you call the immigration, you will be in trouble because you brought her here illegally and you are using her as a slave. This was just the beginning of my life in America.